Jeff, it's Vince. I just wanted to let you know your system is built, calibrated, and shipping shortly. I just wanted to make you a quick build overview video to give you a better feel of what was actually done in your system. Now, I'm sure you've already reviewed some of my previous G540 videos where I cover the drive exclusively. In this video, I want to cover a couple quick details that'll make your initial setup and any future setups go as smoothly as possible. That being said, I highly recommend you downloading this video to either a USB flash drive or your hard drive as a hard copy in order to reference at a later date, because after 24 hours my cloud storage will erase this video in order to make room for new clients. Please keep that in mind. Okay, so we have the rear of the system here. You can see we have the G540, and on the front of the G540 you can see your axes are pre-labeled. So you've got your X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis, and A-axis. Underneath each axis you have the step and direction signals that are programmable to each axis. So step pin 2, direction pin 3 will be programmed inside of Mach 3 in order to control the X-axis. For the Y-axis, step pin 4, direction pin 5. For the Z-axis, step pin 6, direction pin 7. And for the A-axis, step pin 8, direction pin 9. Now, of course, you're not going to have to memorize all this. I'll be sending you a configuration tutorial video where I essentially go through Mach 3 setting up the G540 for you. This way your new system will provide motion as soon as possible. Parallel port will be converted on your system to using the Ethernet Smooth Stepper. We'll once again be going from a DB25 parallel port to an Ethernet Cat7 port. And again, as long as you're using a Windows operating system, you can use either a laptop or a desktop, and you'll be all set with that. And of course, that will function with 32-bit or 64-bit architecture operating system. Now coming over here, you can see that we have our charge pump feature. 98% of my clients, including myself, choose to leave the charge pump off. If you decide to enable it, keep in mind you must also enable the charge pump feature inside of Mach 3. If you don't, you'll always get a red fault light. What the charge pump feature essentially does is look for a communication cable between the drive and your PC. Once again, Mach 3 does not auto-configure itself like other Windows programs. So if you're using Mach 3 or Mach 4 and you make any hardware changes on the system, you will have to manually make hardware changes inside the software. So again, if you decide to enable this, keep all of those caveats in mind. Once again, with it set default to off, you'll always be in a green go light mode, and that's exactly what we want to have when once again we're going to be starting our system, and again without the e-stop being depressed. Coming over here, we have our 110 volt auxiliary power input. It's the same power input you'd find in your typical wall outlet. Keep in mind that there's only two caveats to using this input, and that would be, the first one is that we never want to exceed 5 amps on this plug. And the reason we don't, of course, we don't want to destabilize our electronics. Our IEC power plug is also tied into this plug. So again, drawing too many amps can lead to issues with the system stability. Second caveat, you want to make sure that whatever accessory you use has its own on-off switch, because once the IEC power plug is plugged into the rear of the system, this port is always hot. Coming over here is one of the 3 fuses installed in the system. This is the external mounted one, which is the easiest one to replace. You also have one inside the power supply and also one inside the G540. Graphics on the system are done using 3M8518 glossy over laminate, registered for use by NASCAR, and using my own professional glossy vinyl substrate with acrylic-based adhesive. They will last the life of the system. I'm going to pan around now on the inside of the system and show you exactly how the build quality is performed. Okay, coming to the rear of the drive, you're going to see that I've already installed one of my allocation labels to the G540. If for whatever reason you decide to modify the system or come in and work on the drive, you can see that with this label it tells you exactly what port is allocated to what feature. So you've got your inputs on all those pin 1 through 4, and then it goes up to 6, 7, 8, and everything is allocated for your outputs, your VFD inputs, and of course your positive and negative power for the drive itself. Makes allocating all of these terminals much easier with this label on there. Heat sinks are mounted to the back of the drive with thermal adhesive. That's 1/2 of the cooling system. Again, we extend the actual surface area of the drive, making the drive much cooler. And then, of course, completing that, we use a Sanyo Denki 60 by 38 millimeter brushless cooling fan, ready to 100,000 hours of use. Accelerates from 0 to 10,000 RPM in under 2 seconds. You'll hear that when we turn on the system. Solder, heat shrink, and flux was used on every connection as it should be. Wires are tied for optimal neatness and airflow. I know it appears that the enclosure is gold anodized. It is not. It's dipped in allodyne, which is an extenuating conductive coating we use once again to drop our ohms rating on the enclosure. Once again, all metal is conductive, but anything we can do to reduce our ohms is going to give us an even more stable system. Power supply, you're getting my new Rev 2 version. It's 48 volt, 12.5 amp, 600 watt. It's calibrated true RMS with my Fluke 179 multimeter, so your numbers are dead nuts on. This power supply has a built-in EMI filter, and it's also the only power supply designed for CNC use, featuring 10 power output terminals. So if you decide to add any features to the drive, you don't have to add basically a terminal splitter to prevent daisy chaining, because again, you have 10 ports for your V plus and V negative outputs, and you can see them right there. Okay. Coming in the front of the system, your e-stop head will be removed during shipping. Again, the switch will be depressed in. Once you receive the system, you'll follow the arrow direction, rotating to the right. Once the switch actually pops out, you know you've set your proper tension. You don't want to exceed that tension, or you risk possibly damaging the nylon contacts on the back of the switch. So please pay close attention to that. Coming over here is Gecko's contact information should you require it. Made in the USA, which I'm real proud of. I'm going to power on the system now. You can see our fan naturally doing its job. We've got our power LED on our power supply. You can see our green LED on the G540. She's ready to send and receive signals. I'm going to engage fault, disengage fault, engage fault, and disengage fault. You're all set, sir. Once again, Jeff, I want to thank you for your business, your patience, and your trust. The system will be shipping in 2 packages, of course, to protect our investment. The first package will contain the controller, which is double corrugated, and the box will be able to withstand 100 pounds tensile strength. So again, it's pretty much set. It's about the strongest 1/4-inch plywood. And then the second package will contain your motors and other accessories, I believe motor cables, and you'll be all set. I'll upload tracking as soon as everything ships. Thank you again. Take care.